And that's my tree. If I do a mountain there, you can see. So we can keep building up our little trees going all the way around. Now I'm going to show you how to do some big trees. So look at your picture and see where you want a big tree to go. I think I'm going to put mine just here. Now what we're going to do, again, that very fine line that we did earlier, and I'm going to draw a squiggly line. So find that position. It almost looks like a ghost. Now I'm going to start underneath, and again do exactly the same thing. So I'm coming down and I'm doing a squiggly line, and one more, like so. So that's one tree. Now it's down to the shading. We're going to cover these lines up by shading underneath. So very gently. And all I'm doing now is colouring in, but I'm getting rid of that line so you can't see it anymore. And then we move up and do a bit more up here. Again, it's just to get rid of that sharp line. It's very much like colouring in, but it will make it look like the tree has got snow on. And then right at the top, so we need to colour this line in here and make it go a little bit hazy, as if the snow's just fallen on certain areas. And of course, if you want it more pointy, that's where you can turn it into a more of a pointed tree. If you wanted to do a star on the top, do you want to do, maybe for example here, I don't like that line, so I'm going to work closely and very gently pull back the trigger and move that line out, like so. And then we just need to do a little stalk at the bottom. Now be careful not to tip up, so always work directly onto your cake. And then do a little tree stump. So now I'm going to show you how to reveal the moon. We're very carefully going to come over and just pick away. Can you see it's happening? Gently peel it down. Now this is why I didn't want you to add water, because I wanted to peel it away to reveal a lovely circle. Obviously that paste is no good now, so we can throw that away. And then we're going to take the airbrush, turn it on, turn it to low, and then get the black. We literally just need about 3 drops in here. Spray it on there, make sure it's the black coming through. And then very carefully we're going to do our moon. So I don't want to go over the blue on this, so remember the fine line we did earlier. I'm coming really close. And again, it's just like colouring in, that's all we're doing. We're gently shading. It does all need to be a little bit grey, but then I'm doing it darker on one side. Gently cover up any bits. Then a little bit darker down there. Now make sure you stand back and just have a look. I'm going to do a little bit more on the top, I think. And come a little bit further to the edge. And then there's our moon, so that instantly looks 3D. And then we can finish. So now I'm going to show you a quick and easy way to make stars. I'm using this little tool here. This comes in a set of 3 and they're modelling tools. As you can see, they look very similar to dental tools. All we're going to do, I'm going to use the pointed end of this one, and then I'm going to start picking away at the icing. And then we're left with white underneath. Now I'm doing big stars at the moment, and then you can just do little stars just by poking, like so. And you want them to be randomly all over. Just wipe away any excess that you might have there. Do some really close and some far apart. If you're really clever, you could do different star signs. If it was somebody's birthday. And then do that all over the cake. So I'm using some pearl white here, and we're going to put a nice shimmery little star on the top. So simply unscrew the lid. I'm just tipping a little bit out on tissue. There it is. And then we put our brush in there. And we're ready to stencil. So here I've got a lovely stencil. And I'm just going to place it in the centre. Now hold it down. And then with my shimmer on the brush, I'm going to just gently brush over. Do more dabbing really than brush strokes. Make sure you get a nice even finish on there. And then we're ready to lift. So there we have it, our beautiful snow scene all complete. As you can see, I've added ribbon around the board which just finishes it off. I've also added a little bit of diamante trim here. That just adds to a little bit of sparkle with the stars going on. I've shown you how to make the trees, the hills, and also just this cake on its own, the shaded effect. You can do for birthday cakes, Christmas weddings, the list goes on. I've made some snowballs here, as you can see, just to add a little bit of interest. So I hope you've enjoyed this little project that I've shared with you. As you can see, the airbrush cake looks beautiful, and hopefully it's given you the confidence to get your airbrush out now and have a little go. Now we're going to go over to the studio for some top tips. So now I'm going to show you a quick tip on how to mix your colours. So again, we turn the airbrush on and we go to the low setting and we make sure that the airbrush hasn't got any colour in it. Now I'm going to show you some different shades of green. So we've got yellow. If we do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drops of yellow, and then 1, 2 drops of blue, give a little wiggle. Now it's always important to test on a little bit of paper first, just to make sure you've got the right colour coming out. As you can see, I've got a bit of dirty colour there. Now what I'm going to do is turn my piece of paper to one side, and then I'm going to gradually airbrush one area. Can you see how I'm going darker one side and lighter the other? Because you should never need to add white to your colours. It's all about going the pressure. Now what you need to do is with a pen, you just need to add on here that I did 5 yellow and 2 blue. Now by doing this you can build up a huge colour chart. So the next colour I'm going to do, I will empty my airbrush, make sure there's no colour in there again. Now this time I'm going to do the same, I'll do the same mixture. We'll do yellow, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, to 2 blue, 1, 2, give a little wiggle. Now this time I'm going to add some brown. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 brown. We give a little mix. Again, we test it on there because we should be able to see a colour difference. And then do exactly the same as what we've just done. But you can see by adding the brown, I've got a more natural colour green. And again, just keep writing down all of the colours you do. So you know then that you've got a perfect colour reference and all your colours are written down, so you're never going to forget what you've done. And 5 brown. So as you can see, keep going all the way down and you can build up a fabulous colour chart. So now I'm going to show you some handy tips using some stencils. First, this lovely one here. You can see there's some beautiful daisies along there. What I'm going to do is put them on the paper, turn the airbrush on and go to a low setting, and we're going to put some blue in. Just a few drops here, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I want to show some do's and don'ts first. So most people come to their stencil and they might do this. Now straight away when I remove that, you can see that it goes very, very hazy, but also it's gone everywhere else over the stencil. So what I want you to try and do is hold the stencil down and come above the stencil, and then gently pull back the lever and we colour in that one daisy. Now by doing this, we're not going to go all over the place, and as you can see, you get a beautiful sharp finish. Now the next one I want to show you is about writing. So if you find it very hard to use a piping bag, or you're not confident to write with an airbrush, this does all the work for you. Now this one says it's Christmas time. I'm going to hold it down again. This time I'm going to just do the bottom of each line of the wording. And I'm going to do my berries. Now I'm going to change the colour. And let's put a brown through there. Make sure it is brown coming out. There it is. And then we're going to do the top of the stencil. So I know at the moment it does look a little bit messy, but then once we reveal, as you can see, perfect. Now the next one is when you're buying stencils, I want you to look inside them and see all the wonderful patterns that you can get. This one here, if I do the stencil all over, it is a lovely pattern on its own, as you can see. But now if I just touch the centre and go round in a circle, I also get a different star shape. Also, let's just pick out these tiny little areas here. Let me do a few in a line. So out of that one stencil, I've got 3 stencils straight away. Now to practice your aiming, as I did earlier, I came up high and shot lots of colour down there and it went all over the place. So this is a really good one for practicing. So we just pick out one leaf, aim right to the bottom of that leaf so that it's slightly darker, and then you get a lovely shaded effect. So you can very easily do your own little vine growing up the side of your cake, as you can see. I want to show you another great tip, which is doing splats and scary trees. So we turn the airbrush on and go to low. I'm going to use blue for this one. A couple of drops of blue, 2, 3, 4. Now to do a little splat, we come down to the paper really close, gently pull back the lever, and it creates a little splat, as you can see. Now as it's Christmas time, we can very easily turn these into little snowflakes. So if I do this and gently pull up, now if this was a cake, you would turn the cake the same as I am with the paper. Gently pull back the lever and work our way round. Now we have our own little stars with our splats. Another great tip is how to do grass. It's exactly the same as you do the splat, but this time we slowly move across the page. So this creates a lovely grass effect. Really good for those springtime effects. And this is one of my favourite things I love doing, which is my scary trees. So we start at the bottom of the page here, and I'm going to pull back to release lots of colour. Now let go of the of the trigger, and then we chase. So we're chasing that ink up the page to create a wonderful scary tree. Now we can use the lid of our colours, and I'm gradually going to airbrush around and closer to the centre, and then when I lift that off, you can now see why I call them scary trees. Now I get asked quite a lot about putting metallic colours and different brands of colours through the airbrush. Now you do need to be careful with this because there's quite a few out there that say they're suitable for airbrushes, but they can actually damage it. So please be careful. And I want to show you a quick tip now, which will help you. So all you do is you get the desired colour that you want to put in your airbrush, and then you put a little blob of it on the paper, not in your airbrush. Now with the air, I want you to chase it up the page as if you're doing a scary tree, like we've just done. So chase it up, and as you can see, it flies up the page, quite easy and quite random. So that's the effect we're looking for. Now when you look at this, there's no lumps and bumps in there, there's no grain, and it's flown up there quite quickly. So that means it's suitable to go through the airbrush, it won't block it at all. Now if it looks more like that section there, then it's obviously too thick to go through the airbrush and it might clog it, so please be very careful what you put through. So now I'm going to tell you about a quick little troubleshooter. If you have trouble with your airbrush, as in the lever goes very wobbly, all you need to do is unscrew the back of your airbrush, because normally, I'm going to say 9 out of 10 times, it's the tension that's gone on this little bolt here. So all we need to do is unscrew that. Please be careful, don't lose it. Gently pull the needle out and then push back in again. Make sure it's in quite firmly, and then gently screw that little bolt back on, nice and tight, and screw the back piece on. And now when you go to your lever, it should be pulling backwards and forwards, nice and tight again. Now another common little problem that we have with the airbrush is when you turn your airbrush on, you've got a constant flow of colour, even though you're not touching the trigger on the airbrush. Now this is really easily fixed. So turn your airbrush off on the compressor, unscrew the end,